Sudden cardiac death affects over 5,000 people in Ireland each year. In older people, it usually results from hardening of the arteries. In younger people, heart muscle disorders or electrical abnormalities are more common, and these are frequently inherited. With increased awareness in the media, CRY, which stands for Cardiac Risk in the Young, was set up in 2002. The organisation set itself three main tasks: to spread awareness of sudden cardiac death among the public and medical profession, to support families affected by the condition, and to fundraise to support the National Screening Centre through a collaborative effort between Tallaght Hospital, St James's Hospital and St Vincent's University Hospital with the support of the Adelaide Society.
Well, June the 19th, 1996 was a day which drastically changed my life and that of my family forever. Our youngest son, Peter, had just finished his junior cert. Peter was 15. He came home that night about 10:30 and we sat and chatted. But about 3:15 in the morning, I heard a moan and I went to investigate and found that he'd been sick. And he said he had a terrible pain in his chest. And when I stood him up, he said he couldn't see me. I can vividly remember arriving in the hospital, and within 15 minutes, the consultant said that Peter was seriously ill, and then critically ill. And then those words that I'll never forget: "I'm sorry, we lost him." At that moment, I remember looking out the window, and when we had come into the hospital, it was dark. But now the dawn had broken, the day had started, and my life had changed. At that time, there was very little information and there was no outside support and nowhere I could go and talk to anybody.
Pádraig was only 41 when he died. He never complained. He showed no sign of any of the symptoms that's associated with cardiomyopathy, or, you know, he worked very hard. He was fit. The only symptom he complained of was the night prior to his 20 minutes before he died. He said he had a pain in his arm. He had already brought the baby down to bed he was in the cot beside us. And Pádraig then just did one last breath and he was gone. Our whole world changed from being a happy family, and then all of a sudden Pádraig was gone. No sickness, no nothing, he was just vanished. But it's so important now for my kids to have the screening. The first time I went up and I actually said to her, I have, what do I pay or what? And she said, it's free. The facility is brilliant. And for a family to know that there is something there and that there's somebody there that you can talk to that has gone through what you're going through. I felt it was a great relief for me to actually see the kids being checked and to know that their hearts are perfect.
The Centre for Cardiac Risk in Younger Persons opened here at Tallaght Hospital on the 10th of November 2008. We get referrals of patients either from the GP or from their local consultant, and the patients are either family members where there has been a sudden death in the family, or they're patients who have experienced symptoms such as palpitations, shortness of breath or chest discomfort on exertion, and these may indicate somebody who's at risk of sudden cardiac death and they need to be evaluated. Most of the causes of sudden cardiac death are detectable if somebody is examined. What we do with most patients is the first thing they get is an ECG, and this is a basic tracing of the electrical activation of the heart. It takes about 5 minutes to do, it's completely painless, and it gives us a huge amount of information and can rule out a lot of conditions. We then take the patient for an exercise test, which is running on a treadmill or a bicycle hooked up to the ECG machine, so we can look at the cardiac tracing and see how it behaves under conditions of stress. We get them to exercise as much as they physically can. We also do an echo test, which is an ultrasound of the heart, and that's looking at the heart structure, looking at the heart size, the muscle thickness, the pump function of the heart, and then we also look for holes in the heart or valve problems, all of which can underlie sudden cardiac death. In order to do all the tests that we want to do and do them on the same day, we have set up a dedicated centre. Most of The clinics, if you go to a cardiology clinic and want to do these various tests, there is a waiting list, and the waiting list for some of the tests, such as an echo test, a routine waiting list could be up to 2 years. So in order to coordinate these, have them on the same day and be able to discuss the results, we have developed this centre. The centre now has 4 full-time staff. In addition to myself, there's a clinical nurse specialist, 2 technicians and an administrator to allow us to run the service smoothly.
Unfortunately, because obviously funding hasn't been cleared at a government level to date, we've set this up almost entirely on private funds.
Without the fundraising that we've engaged in and without the generosity of people, we would not have been able to open the centre at all. And it is an ongoing requirement for us to raise the funds as much as we can to keep the service open and to develop the centre until such time as the state may be asked to contribute.
One would like to imagine it as a meaningful national centre covering 32 counties, covering everybody, irrespective of their location and irrespective of whether they have any private insurance or not.
Now that the centre is, dedicated building is opened, it has the capacity to screen up to 1,800 patients per annum, which will build to 3,000 when the final phase of the centre is developed. And that is a significant advance on where we were at this time last year.
We clearly need continued private funding until such time as the Department of Health feels that they can contribute and perhaps even take over the running of the unit should they feel that that's appropriate in the medium term.
I cannot overemphasize enough the valuable contributions made by individuals and companies in this project to date, and I stress again and again that they should not underestimate what they have achieved with us in getting the project to where it is today, and also to seek their continuing support to enable us and the hospitals to develop the project to its final state.